David Judson is a band member, leader, and visual designer for Windy City. David, as well as his other band members, has a tireless dedication to perfectly replicating some of Chicago's best songs, which has made them one of the most popular local cover bands and consistently packs out the Songbird every show. Please join us as Tom and David discuss what really separates the Songbird from all the other venues Windy City has visited.
Hi, this is Tom Burkett with the Songbird Live, and we are in another episode of Songbird Sessions. We're talking with David Judson, who is one of the leaders of Windy City, the Chicago tribute band. And that band just got through playing 2 nights here at the Songbird, and it was just a wonderful experience. The 2 nights were a little bit different, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, but one of the things that I want to explore, I know every band member came up to me and said, man, this is just one of our favorite places to play. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly why. What is the magic of the Songbird? And then, just want to get your impressions of it. First of all, David, welcome to the Songbird Sessions. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. It was a real joy. Tell me what your thoughts are about playing in the Songbird.
Sure. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. And
absolutely.
It's interesting. I've been playing in a lot of venues over the years and decades. And for me, the Songbird is really the most special place. I mean, you talk about it as a listening room. It's not a bar, it's not a restaurant, it's not an arena, it's not a big venue, it's not outdoors. It's a listening room. And, for me, that's kind of like a perfect description, because what we do when we come to the Songbird is we not only play our music, but we play to an audience that we can see, and we can not only see them throughout the whole physical space, but we're right there in front of them, very close to them physically. Some of the guys in the band play, I feel bad for some of the people because they're right next to the horn section, but from where I'm standing, which is right on the stage, I can see everybody in the stage. I can see everybody in the audience, and I see their reactions. And that's tremendously important to me, because what we try to do at Windy City is to evoke what it was like maybe the first time you heard some of these tunes back, when you were younger. And I can see people's faces and I can see their reaction. There's no place that we play that happens. So for us, and for me in particular, that's one of the things that makes the Songbird Live so incredibly special. You can actually see and feel the audience interaction.
Well, one of the things, whenever I used to have a brass quintet that toured a lot. We did a lot of concerts, about 1,350 of them. One of the things that that I learned, it's wonderful to play for a 2,000 or 3,000 seat audience. It's wonderful, mainly because it pays better. But when you're that far away, you don't look out and see anybody. You see a sea of people. And that, of course, is totally different with a Songbird. If you're singing, you can actually look at a person and sing to that person. Then you can look at a different person and sing to that person.
Right.
And that lends to just an intimacy that is, I think, really special.
Absolutely. I mean, fortunately, they don't let me sing in Windy City too often, so that's a good thing. But I will say that you're right. I mean, the intimacy about being able to see people's reactions is really what makes it special for me. I mean, I've played in big venues and I've played for large audiences. I also played for places where there was nobody there. That's the typical,
Right.
happens. But it really makes a difference for the whole band. I mean, I can see it. I run the band. I'm the musical director of the band. And, I can feel whether we're tight or not, whether we're on or not, whether we're hitting the changes that were supposed to be the endings and the beginnings, those things that maybe people don't think about or realize, but that really matter, I think, in a performance.
Sure.
Make a difference. At the Songbird, we all see the same thing that I'm seeing, which is the audience right there. We see their reactions, and it makes a big difference for us on stage. We're much more excited about playing together. We're really focused on the things that, all those things I'm talking about to make sure that it's really a truly, hopefully ideal performance. And all of us can see the people's reactions and feel them, especially when people are basically, I don't want to use the word right on top of you, but they're within the first row is within 5 feet of me, right?
That's correct.
And then
Yeah.
the back row is within, I don't know, 30 feet. I don't know.
No,
It's very intimate.
it's only 25 feet across, so
25, okay, 25, less than 25 feet. So
yeah,
it's great. I mean, I love it. I try to it makes me focus a lot more, but it
oh, that
also allows me to have a better time. I mean, I feel like I'm playing right for these people in my living room, basically.
yeah,
It is
exactly. Well,
louder
you
than,
kinda are.
yeah, but it's a little louder than in my living room, but
Well, that's
it's
true.
interesting. Yeah, but the reactions have been, every time we've played there, and we've been fortunate to play there so many times, thank you so much for having us back. It's always it's always an incredible experience, and, the last week when we were there, we had two different experiences. One was the
Yes,
typical with the 125 or how many seats there are in the listening room, and then the second night, we got more of an intimate experience with a smaller table setup, which was also great. I mean, it was even more intimate in some respects because we got to meet the people before the show and
right.
talk to them afterwards, and it just seemed like a really private show, and it was super fun, really a blast.
Well, one of the things that we have always wanted to accomplish, um, we knew that we had that intimacy, but for whatever reason, we never really had the crowd, um, m meshing with other crowd members. They would come in and they would sit in their seat real politely, and of course, they enjoy the band, but we didn't have that sense of community, and whenever we did the tables, I thought, "Man, we're on to something," because out of 14 years, we've never really have accomplished that sense of community before,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
I
something that the Songbird has the ability to do, is create that sense of community, and that's the first time we were successful at that.
I'm so happy to hear that. I really enjoyed it. It was so interesting because from Friday night with the everyone seated to the Saturday night, which was the table set up, I didn't know what to expect the second night at all, frankly, but it was really intimate. And first of all, both crowds were great. You have great crowds
Yeah.
there. I mean, the
Yeah.
people who come to the Songbird are really terrific. But both
Well,
crowd,
they're music
both,
lovers.
yeah, I think they're music lovers, and it's interesting because it's such a great place for music, right? But it's the experience, right? So I don't know I mean, unfortunately, I'm busy all the time, so I can't get down there. But, I would come to the Songbird to hear an act that I didn't even know because it's so intimate, right? I mean, I remember the rare experience of going to see artists that I knew and being able to sit 6 feet away or 8 feet away and watch the whole dynamic of how they perform and what they do to get ready for the next song and how they there's something about watching a performer perform at that close experience or at that close to the stage that's it's just remarkable. It's also not about the music, it's about the performance and the act of performing. It's really intimate, and it's great for the artist, I know that, and as someone who's gone into a venue and watched, you can't replace that. It's remarkable. It doesn't matter what the performance is almost, it's the act of performing and the ability to see that. It's special. It really is.
Yeah, and it's something that the most perfect recording still can't capture.
Right. True. True. I mean, you guys, by the way, have a great setup there with the whole video and everything, and it's so intimate. But you're right. When you watch a video on YouTube or anywhere, you know, if you're close to the stage, it's nice. You can see what's going on. But being there in the room makes a huge difference. I mean, I'm, I'm reminded that about 2 months ago, my wife talked me into going to see Paul McCartney who I've never seen before, and she said, "Look, it's just a bucket list thing. I wanna go see Paul McCartney, and he's touring now," and so we bought tickets, we flew to San Antonio, and we walked into the Alamo Dome with, I don't know, 30,000 other people, maybe more. It was the worst experience, because even though it was Paul McCartney and he was great, we were so far away from the stage, you couldn't see anything. They had some screens up, but the screens weren't even for so far away, and they weren't very high quality. The whole experience was like, I thought about that experience as I was thinking about that this weekend when I played at the Songbird, and I thought, to be 6 feet away or 8 feet away from a performer is the only way to go, if you
Oh
really
man,
wanna
yeah.
if you really wanna enjoy it. Now, I don't think I could get tickets to see Paul McCartney and be 6 feet away from him, I get that, and I'm not comparing, but it's, a lot of these performers, whatever venue it is, whether it's an arena, whether it's playing outside at a beautiful, summer day, or playing, like we've played at, we played at the Arboretum, we had thousands of people, we've played all over the Metroplex, and the Songbird is unique. It's unique, and there's nothing else like it that we've ever played at, and that's why I love playing there because it's that experience as a musician, the last thing you wanna do is play for either where you can't really interact with the audience.
Well, I remember going to see a really great band, um, at at I hate to say the name, but okay, I'm gonna say it, Scat Lounge. Well, Scat Lounge is a wonderful venue, it's beautiful, it's unique and all, but they would take booze bottles and, of course, there's still lots of booze there, but they would throw these giant bottles at the garbage, uh, the garbage can, and it was so loud, and the band I was listening to was Red Young and John Bryant, and both of those are fantastic musicians, and it was so distracting. Man,
Yeah, it's
I
funny
it just
because
took the joy
that's
out
so
of it.
funny. Yeah, I recently went to New York City and I went to a jazz club to see one of my favorite artists. She's a singer, Emily Claire Barlow. She's a wonderful singer. And, it was a relatively small place, not, a little bit bigger than the Songbird, but it was a restaurant, but you basically ate dinner, and so in the middle of her show, waitresses and waiters are walking around delivering food and alcohol. It just was distracting, really distracting,
Goodness.
and I'm sure it was distracting for her, I would guess, but it was distracting for me because people were walking in front of me. And so I agree. And the other thing, it's interesting because I have mixed feel as you know, I do the visuals in Windy City, and I really spend a lot of effort on them, and, but it's important for me. They're fun, but I want them to be not distracting, but I want them to be part of their performance. But sometimes when you go to venues, they have big screens, and people end up watching the screens and not the performance. It's like going to a basketball game or a football game and watching the game on the screens instead of what's on the field, you know? So there's a balance, I think, and you have a great setup there. You have a little bit of a screen behind us, and I use it for purposes of complementing what we're doing, putting lyrics
Mhm.
up, things like that. But it's all the Songbird is really unique because it doesn't have any of those distractions that you're talking about. You really have to be on your game when you're a performer. You can't,
There
dial it
is no
in.
place to hide.
There's no place to hide. That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
So but that's the way it should be, right, Tom?
yeah, absolutely.
That's what makes performing, I don't know, special. I think that's one of the reasons we love coming there because you just can't hide. You gotta have your A game as a performer,
Absolutely. Which to me and I'm a band nerd, yeah,
as am
I
I.
used to hide from I used to hide from that term, but realistically, nerds are people who are just into the details,
Yeah.
but, as a band nerd, I'm listening for every line, like, that the brass play or the winds play, and with Chicago tunes, I know all that stuff. You make a mistake, I got you.
Yeah, I don't know. Did I make any mistakes last week? I probably did. I probably did.
We'll talk no, I'm just kidding. But like, I was sitting there enjoying, which I don't always get to do, but I was sitting there enjoying this concert with my wife, and I could listen to every part. I heard every part. The bass player was playing, that the horns were playing, the guitar's playing. Like, for instance, Patrick's voice, he was coming off a real, problem with his
Flu or
voice.
something. Yeah, he was sick.
Yeah, and, the piano player would sing all the high notes for him, so he just continued that line, which
Right.
it's amazing that you can sit there and enjoy all of that and take it all in, and I don't think a lot of people listen that way.
I think that's right. I mean, I think that that's exactly right. I'm like you, I'm a band nerd, and when I go to a show and I have a chance to sit there and watch the guitar player play. Yes, I'm a guitar player, sure.
Yeah,
But
sure.
when I can sit there and watch the guitar player do his or her lines and really understand what's going on, I tune out. I basically tune out of the song and I really focus right on the guitar player. And sometimes I learn things or oftentimes, I learn things about and I go home and the first thing I do is I try to emulate what I
Yeah,
heard or the style and you can't capture that kind of experience anywhere but the Songbird. You have to be in a place where there aren't people throwing beer bottles into a trash can and there's not, all these things going on and people walking by and everything. I don't know. It's really that's the cool thing about it. I mean, I see people watching me play, and people often come up afterwards and say, "Oh, you played that, I like the way you played that," or "I remembered that solo," and I think, "Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do." That's exactly
yeah,
and to have somebody come up and say that is
yeah,
incredibly meaningful. I really love when that happens. I mean, it's hopefully I didn't mess it up or anything. It's hopefully because I messed it up. But I do try to emulate the solos that Terry Kath played in the
sure.
original Chicago albums, and it's not easy to
Yeah,
sometimes I sometimes I get them right. Anyway, it's really satisfying to have somebody say, "Hey, I watched you play that solo, or I remember
yeah,
that solo, you played it like that. That's how he played it, and that made me feel" that's a great feeling.
yeah, sure. Well, and the fact that you could play what Terry Kath played, because he was pretty good, you
Well,
know?
I'm still just trying, after all
Well,
these
that's all we all can do is just
right?
try.
Yeah,
But for me, one of the things I really enjoyed when I was able to sit back and really be a consumer of the concert, to watch what you do and listen to what you do in all the comping stuff where you don't have the solo,
right.
because all that cool comping stuff that you do, it's what makes the groove, you
Well, I
know,
appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
and what a
it's
joy.
yeah, thank you for saying that. I saw you in the back of the room with your wife and I loved having I mean, it was great. I mean, it was like, "Okay, we gotta really do well because Tom's not gonna invite us back." He's sitting right there, and he's listening to everything we're doing. But I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I do really try to emulate what he did originally. The music it's interesting, you appreciate this. The early Chicago catalog, albums 1 through 7, let's say, was really incredible, I think. I mean, I'm showing my personal bias here, but, like, I love that part of the Chicago catalog. I don't like as much the later catalog, the ballads and all that, it's a different feeling in that it went from the late '60s, early '70s to, like, the '80s, and the later material wasn't quite as interesting to me personally. Now, I would say the vast majority of people like the later catalog better than the earlier catalog, which
Really?
is interesting. Yeah, that's been my experience that the vast majority of people really do like the '80s ballads. They appear to talk about the '80s ballads. Now, most of the guys in the band like the earlier catalog better, because it's just more fun to play. But it's just fun to try to emulate that material, and I started playing so many decades ago, I won't even say, but, Chicago was the first band I fell in love with, and I had those records, and they were albums, and you could run them at 33 RPM, and if you took your turntable down to 16, it went down and it was the same notes, but an octave lower, so you could kind of figure things out. That's how I figured things out. I took Terry Katz's solos and took that 33 record, put it on 16, and just listened to it over and over again and tried to hack out the
Yeah,
notes. So
sure.
yeah, it wasn't very
I knew there
productive.
was
These
a bit
days, you
to
can do
that.
things much easier.
Sure. Well, want to talk about how people listen because what I'm about is making people better listeners, because this room lends itself so well.
Yeah,
Hopefully we can contain the volume so you can actually hear all the parts and they don't kind of mesh together. And we certainly hit that this weekend with you guys. But to me, being able to consume all the parts, like all the brass parts, and how the interplay between the guitar and the bass, how that fits together, and when the drums and the bass, just how it fits together. When you can hear that, I just think it just raises your appreciation, the value
right.
of the experience.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
mean, no question. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I would even add that it's not only that you can hear it, but you can see it. So you're so close to the musicians that if you're sitting in the audience at the Songbird, you are right on top of the musicians in a good way. You can see the interaction. You can see them me playing that rhythm part. You can see the dynamics in what I'm playing, but then you can also see me interacting with the other guys in the band, and that those interactions, it's almost impossible when you're far away to see any interactions of musicians, unless they're trying to interact. But as the stage gets bigger, as people have in-ears, which I don't use personally, but the musicians don't tend to interact as much, and if they're farther away, and if the audience is far away, you're seeing you're hearing the song, you're seeing them play, but you don't see the interactions. And at the Songbird, you can pick out the parts. All you have to do is look a little bit, watch the musician playing. You can see the physical movement, and then you can hear it because the Songbird has great dynamics. I mean, it's a great listening room, so to speak. You can really hear great in there. I mean, it's just a fantastic sound. And you can see the musicians, you can see a musician playing something and hear it and pick it out in the mix, and then see the interaction with the other musicians. It's fantastic. That, as sitting in the audience, I hope people see that because we can feel it, that people can see that. They have us, under a quote, almost like a microscope, and it's not, I don't see, I think it would not be uncomfortable. I would be sitting in the audience. I would love it. I'd love to be able to focus on somebody playing a part and being able to see it and see the interaction of that part. When you see Bob and Jim playing together, typically in a band, the bass guitar and the kick drum are aligned, and there should be aligned, right? That's if you're not a musician and you don't think about it, you don't realize it, but that's fundamental to the backbeat of most of the songs. But you can really see it in the Songbird. You can see the drummer and the bass player interacting, and you see me interacting with the keyboard player. We were so fortunate to have Renee Pena
sure?
playing with us.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic player and
Yeah.
just a
Wonderful.
wonderful guy. And just I love interacting with him because I can watch his rhythm parts on keyboard and turn around and just play along with him, and so my guitar parts can hopefully layer in with his piano parts and it's or keyboard parts, and it's a blast, right? And when we're far away from each other, we really can't do that, right? And hopefully the audience appreciates it. I think they do. I sense it
Yeah.
because people come up to me afterwards, and you can tell that they've had an experience that they normally wouldn't have if they went to a large venue or a bar or something, right?
Well, that there is a magic to that, which we hoped we could create. But, hoping and doing is not always the same thing.
Well, yeah, but I hear you. I would think that the Songbird would be a place that people would go to see that, to experience that sort of thing, and that because it doesn't happen at other venues. I mean, we're fortunate to play around, but we don't have that sort of intimacy that you have at the Songbird. We just, you know. So,
Well, and that's kind of gets to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is we vet the musicians who come here. Just because you want to come does not happen. We'll listen to what you do. And by the way, I don't listen to anybody's CD and make any kind of decision. I have to see them doing it live in front of an audience because, you know, when you're playing a concert like this, you get one shot, you
yeah.
know, hey, let's do that again. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So, I'm looking for guys who can bring it and that I have confidence that can bring it. But also, they have to do a show. It's a concert, it's not a gig.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, I'm looking for musicians who can relate to the audience uh, and can do things like pace their concert and stuff like that. That's what we value, a lot here at the Songbird. But one of the point that I was making is we vet everybody who comes here. Like, I'm not really interested in somebody says, "Hey, you need to check this guy out," or something like that. I mean, I'll check them out, but when people like you play here and you say, "Hey, there's somebody you need to listen to," I am all ears. That's a commandment. You need to listen to this guy because people that you trust in the music world, that's huge.
I appreciate
Because
that.
if, like, for instance, when I play trombone, if I recommended somebody for, say, a brass quintet, because that's what I did. If I recommended somebody and they cratered on the gig, you know, man, all of a sudden my word was nothing. It means nothing. So musicians, all of them guard their, I don't know what you call it, their credibility, I guess. And you would never recommend somebody who couldn't do the gig.
No, but I appreciate that sentiment because I know a lot of musicians and bands and things that I don't think would work at the Songbird for that very reason, right? I think that not every band or artist could play at the Songbird because for that very reason, I think. There's not there's there's a certain type of person and who doesn't not doesn't feel intimidated is the wrong word, but like I said, you have to be on your game. You have to be willing, and you have to want to interact with the audience to play it to at the Songbird. That experience is what makes it special for me. I mean, I don't know if you haven't seen us at other venues, but if you did see us at other venues, you'd probably say, "Well, God, David doesn't really speak very much at these other shows, but at the Songbird, he really talks a lot more." I talk a lot more. I find myself talking a lot more, and some of the guys in the band are like, why is he talking so much?" Because normally Patrick does most of the introductions and things. But at the Songbird, I remember because you once invited us when we played there early on to sort of talk to the audience tell us about, and I
Yeah.
think it was your idea,
Exactly.
which was a great idea
Yes.
to say, tell us a little bit about how you got interested, like in my case in Chicago. And I talked about my experience as a 12-year-old boy and my first guitars and all that. And it was like, I thought, wow, that's a great idea. And I loved it because I was able to talk. I'm usually pretty shy in front of audiences, but I really felt like that gave me that invitation that you gave to us gave me a chance to talk about something that was important to me, which was the history of how I got involved in music
Sure.
in general, playing guitar in particular, and playing the Terry Kath in Chicago catalog and that music. So that was the type of thing that you invited us to do. And a couple of the guys in the band, John Williams, spoke about his history as playing trombone, and Jim talked about drums and other things. And we were like, wow, this is fantastic. I mean, maybe we're all just egotistical when it comes down to it, but we loved it. You love that
But
because it gave us a chance to.
sharing that experience, and quite frankly, every musician who comes here all have because, I mean, how do you reach the professional level? It's, it's a daily
Challenge.
task, and at some point, there to where you're a significant player that people really want to hear, And all of that is because somebody inspired you. You know, you don't just play guitar. I mean, for you, Terry Kath, I'm sure, was a major, major influence.
Yeah. The major influence.
Yeah,
He was
sure,
yeah. I mean, I tried a lot of other guitar. Yeah.
sure. But I think, every trumpet player has that same experience. Every trombone player has that same experience. There's somebody that you hear that changed your trajectory, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody has that story. It's just at different ages, but you're absolutely correct. Absolutely.
Right. And then
Yeah.
being able to share it.
Yeah. And I think people in the audience, maybe this is wishful thinking, maybe Tom, but I think that it's a nice little break, to hear someone on stage talk about something personal. I think that's not too much, not too long. It's got to be just, it can't be too much, but like I've been to, but it's, there's something that makes it really personal. I mean, we all go to these large, concerts where we see famous musicians and bands. And once in a while, like if you go see James Taylor, he tells a lot of stories. Billy Joel, I saw him recently. Told stories and it was great. But the only thing is, it's an arena with 30,000 people. And so you're
No,
sitting there watching
you
him on
bust the
screen.
energy.
Yeah.
If you bust the energy, you could lose the show. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I'm always thinking about because as I'm running this band, like I
Uh-huh.
always they consider me a taskmaster because you know, they gotta be ready for the next
Yeah,
song and they gotta not too much talking in between. So it's subtle, but the Songbird gives us the opportunity to have that interaction in a
yeah,
personal way.
right.
There's no place like it. That's even when we're not playing, we're just talking. It's great. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Now absolutely, love it. We're, talking with Michael Martin Murphey about coming back. He's played here 8 times, and, of course, he's a great songwriter. He's,
Yeah.
you know,
Famous.
uh, big time famous, and, for
Wildfire.
50.
Wildfire is one of
Yeah,
my favorite songs of all time.
sure.
Yeah.
And for 50 years, he's been famous, and you talk to him about, how do you do that? And he says, you got to treat every encounter like it's the most important. He says, otherwise you can't continue a career for 50 years.
Yeah.
And
That's great
and
advice.
the people who get bored with it, they wash out.
Yeah,
You know,
some go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah.
oh, I was just saying that he is such a great storyteller. And the Songbird is a great room for that because I told you he's been here 8 times. Anyway, he will have everybody on the edge of the seat while he's telling his story, and the place is absolutely silent until he finishes the story. It's really
That's
cool.
wonderful. So people walk away from that experience saying, not only was the show great and the music is great, but the experience was great, right? I loved it. Yeah, it's not like going to a movie. It's like, you can go to a movie and go see a Taylor Swift concert at a movie theater, or you
Yeah,
can watch it on Netflix or something, but that's the kind of experience to be, sitting there with that intimacy with a musician is like having them in your living room. There's nothing like
right,
it.
right.
There's absolutely nothing like it. It's funny because, there were a lot of musicians growing up that I loved, and I remember one person he was a songwriter, singer songwriter. His name was Kenny Rankin, who is deceased now. But when he was performing in the early 70s, I used to go see him, and he was an incredible musician and incredible singer. But wise, he was uncomfortable singing in front of an audience. And it was difficult and for him, and so those concerts were always a little bit tense for me, even in a small venue, because he was uncomfortable. You could tell he was uncomfortable. He used to get upset because people would sing along with him while and he could hear them singing along, and he was like that was really distracting for him, which I totally understand. It's like you can imagine going to a show and having somebody singing a ballad while you're singing the ballad, and you can hear them singing. But, but he was an incredible musician, but he was uncomfortable in that sort of close performance. So I can imagine, if you have somebody who's really comfortable and is telling intimate stories and playing this incredible music and you can see it and see the interaction, it's just there's nothing like it. I should come to see him. I got to come to see him. Is he coming back? I'd love to come see him.
Yeah, we're working on that, trying to get him in June. So we're
Yeah, I need to do that.
uh,
I need to come back
yeah.
and see him. Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
we'll make special arrangements for you. And
He's not as loud as Windy City, probably. He probably doesn't have that volume that
no,
we have.
not quite.
Yeah.
Well, David, what a pleasure it is to visit with you. I really enjoy it.
It's been my
We
pleasure. Thank you for allowing us to play there.
absolutely.
I should
Well,
always
we'll
think
have you back. I think it's August 4th, I think.
before we know it, it'll be August.
Yeah, August 1st.
August 1st.
Here's the announcement. August 1st, Windy City will be back. And get your tickets now because everybody of the tables, whenever we did it this last January, those sold out 3 months in advance.
Well, all I can say is thank you for giving us the opportunity. We love it there, and I
Absolutely.
can't wait to come back. I can't wait to come
Yeah.
back.
Well, we always welcome great musicians, always. And you certainly fall into that.
I
So
appreciate it.
thank you again for being with us. Another episode of Sessions. There you go. Anyway, thanks so much. And you guys, come on back to Songbird Sessions next time. Okay.
Thanks
Thank you.
again. Thanks, Tom.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. For more info on our current show schedule, please visit songbirdlive.com. And for current updates, please check the Songbird Live Facebook page. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.